Hello, hello. Salutations, my friends. It is all good to be here, all good for anyone joining right now. I am Megan. I am the director and founder of Core 3 Harmony and Wellness. Here at Core 3, we provide three areas of service: music therapy, counseling, and coaching. And it is my pleasure to be here and to take up a little bit of your time. I enjoy the opportunity to have a platform like this to come and share some information. And I hope to, in the future, be able to share it with others on topics that are um, informative, uplifting, and inspiring for you to help you engage in this crazy thing called life. Um, First and foremost, thank you for all of those who are subscribed to this channel. I greatly appreciate you. For anyone who happens to run across this and just want to know what in the world it's about and what I'm talking about, I'd appreciate it if you could connect with me here. I try to do my best to go live every Saturday, try not to keep anyone too long, usually 30 minutes tops. Sometimes we might go a little bit over, depends on how in depth the topic may be. But please connect with us here. It is my hope and purpose that into the future there will be some more exciting things happening here for you to check in with and utilize as a resource to help you in every area of life possible. So I appreciate you if you're already a subscriber. If you're not, I would hope that you would after you hear what you're hearing today and intrigued to hear more. So, for the month of June, there's a lot of things going on, and I'm in the United States, and I realize we're on an international platform. Once we get on these things, we have no idea who's listening from what part of the world. So I'm trying to always remember and acknowledge that. In the month of June, there's a whole heck of a lot going on. Two things that come along is that it is what is considered Pride Month, where we set aside and we acknowledge and honor those who are a part of the LGBTQIA plus community. The musician in me pops out because sometimes I start throwing rhythms into things and it just helps me out a little bit. Um, and also, the topic specifically that we're going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks here on our live stream is our fathers. And in the month of June, usually, typically, I believe it's the third Sunday in June, we acknowledge our fathers in what we have as Father's Day. And so today, I we're going to kick off part one of just some information on the impact that fathers have in our lives. As a counselor, I have and therapist, I have been able to interact with people on many different levels and in many different places in their journey that have had um, all kinds of different interactions with their parents. Some of that has been good, some of that has been not so good, and some people's experiences have been pretty darn bad. And so, I think we have come a long way, and I want to feel like, in many ways we do put mothers on the pedestal, which is very um, owning and is very appropriate in many ways. But I think it's also important to make sure we acknowledge also the many amazing things that our fathers do. And when I was sitting aside, like thinking of, okay, so what, what are we gonna share, and how to speak of fathers with the many wonderful attributes that they can bring to the table. And so that is what I hope to do over the next couple of weeks. That doesn't mean I won't we won't touch on some of the not so great stuff. We definitely will, but I don't want that to take um take up the whole topic, so to speak. Uh, it's so funny because I have music, I think, constantly running around, different songs running around in my head. When I was sitting here gathering information for these next couple of weeks, for some strange reason, the song kept popping in my head. Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And when he died, all he left us was alone. And I have no idea why that song keeps popping in my head, but I'm going to assess why and try to make sure I tie it into our information here. So, Papa was a Rolling Stone kept popping in my head. And of course, if you know that song, if you don't, please go look it up, go Google it, go do what you got to do. On, YouTube, man, sometimes it feels like we can barely speak nowadays. So I can't play the song, copyright stuff be popping up on me. But go check it out. Papa was a Rolling Stone. And take a listen to it. Pull up the lyrics. But also, I'm a huge fan of, he has been passed for some years now, but he was a vocalist that I did, man, I cried when I heard about his passing. Luther Vandross. And he did a beautiful song called Dance with My Father Again. And it's, gosh, you please go listen to that, Luther Vandross. And so there are many sides of all of us. uh, I want to say, and I don't want to say this to relate to the book or the film, but we have many shades of gray to each and every one of us, and that's not relating to the film. That's just our personalities. So let me try to get ready to share my screen here. Sometimes I get like this fear factor because I'm like, I hope I don't disappear. I hope everything stays kosher while I'm trying to pull up other stuff for you all. So let me see here. Give me 1 second. While I am doing this, I would love it if there is anyone here that would like to oops, that would like to share either in the comments and or you can email me as well. Um, let me see if I can get some whatever you would maybe like to share about your father. Um, that would be awesome. And maybe even just some thoughts. Sometimes when I'm working with people, I will just ask, what their thoughts on a person or a certain situation or thing. Trying to remove any biases that I might have um, of the situation. So let me see. So when you think of your father, what comes to mind? What comes to mind? And there's no judgment there as to what may maybe pop up to the forefront of your mind. But I think it's important to gain an understanding of um, perhaps with our mother series we did the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we kind of talked about all the facets um, of that and what that's like. I'm gonna see. Um, I'm gonna share this because it's not coming up for me the way I'm assuming. I'm always constantly learning, and things are changing and adjusting. Let me see. I have my presentation ready, but now I'm trying to pull it in so that you can see it. Let's see if this will work. Oh, okay. I believe you can see it now. Now the funny thing is sometimes in sharing screens, you lose seeing yourself and what's being seen. So I hope that you can see this. Um, And so the impact of a father in a child's life, the impact of a father in a child's life. You just kind of give yourself a moment here and think about what what that has been like for you. Um, has that been how has that experience been for you? Um, and has it been good? Has it been okay? So sorry for the glitches. All right, so I'm going to share. And on that part, I'm going to share. Let me see if I can also get. I think this is a challenge for me because I'm trying to share my PowerPoint and it's kind of a bugaboo because I'm also trying to make sure you can. Whoops. Oh, okay, so bear with me. Let me let me see why this. Thank you for your patience. Um, I think always the more you do something, the little bit more aware you become of how everything happens to line up. I don't want to share. Okay, I want to share a window, but I'm not quite sure. Let's see how this goes here. And okay, now you see the wildness. Let me see if you can see my presentation. Um, I feel like you can't because I'm not able to get it to work. Okay, trial and error. I am definitely going to get some assistance with this because I feel like it's not as easy as I'm thinking it should be. Perhaps lost fathers who their father is no longer living. And I understand how that can be very much so a challenge. Um, I'm not able to share my screen. Um, so I apologize for that, but I will just go with the information that I did have prepared so that I don't hold you up any longer. But I'm going to work on that. That's my goal this week in order to present to you next week. And it might be a little bit longer because I want to at least maybe present these slides that I made for you. So um, here's something to think about. Anyone can father a child, but being a dad takes a lifetime. Anyone can father a child, but being a dad takes a lifetime. Um, and you know, fathers do play a key role in every child's life that just can't be filled by others or anyone else. Um, and I say that in the point that I know nowadays, of course, our family dynamics and family makeup is so different, so vastly different than what perhaps many of us grew up in or what we had known, have became known of as our family unit. And that can be so vastly different for so many people. But I still believe that fatherly role holds a great deal of um, opportunity and impact in a person's life. A father's role can have a large impact, helping to shape their son or their daughter into the person that they become. So, you know, fathers are are pillars in the development of a child's emotional well-being. And I know, you know, we can look at it as being like maybe sometimes, especially in the very early stages, it feeling as though a greater percentage of that is coming from mother, especially if mother is bonding via, you know, breastfeeding or what have you. But fathers definitely have a significant role in the emotional well-being of the child. Children look to their fathers, many children do, not that all, to lay down the rules and to enforce them. Fathers help to also provide uh, feelings of security, both physical and emotional. And children want to make their fathers proud, and an involved father promotes inner growth and strength. That word involved sits very heavy with me because I've interacted with individuals that had a father that was involved, a father that was not involved, and a father that was overly involved. So through the many dynamics, I feel like I want to make sure we address each one of those aspects and what that can look like, and how leading up to present day, you, if you're watching this perhaps as an adult and you're looking at your past interactions with your father, helping you understand why you are the way you are today. Okay. Children want to make their fathers proud, and an involved father promotes inner growth and strength. Studies have actually shown that when fathers are affectionate and supportive, it greatly affects a child's cognitive and social development. It also instills an overall sense of well being and self confidence. Fathers help to set the bar for relationships with others. Um, Fathers can influence who we are inside and how we have relationships with people as we grow. The way a father treats his child will influence what he or she looks for in other people. Woo! Um, and uh, if you have ever been in therapy or contemplating going into therapy, one of the things that's important, if hopefully you have a therapist that does this, is looking at your attachment style. How do you interact with the individuals that you choose as partners? And why you do what you do. That attachment style leads directly back to the experiences and interactions you had with your parents, what you saw them doing and how they treated you leading up to your current day interactions and relationships, and why you choose the partners that you do, whether that was the absentee father, the father that was involved and present, and or the father that was just, you know, doing too much, basically. um, Friends, lovers, and spouses will all be chosen based on how the child perceived the meaning of their relationships with his or her father. Now, you can agree or disagree with that, but I truly believe the interactions I've seen with some people, that statement does hold a lot of weight to it. Friends, lovers, and spouses will be all be chosen based on how the child perceived the meaning of the relationship with his or her father. Think about that just a second. And look at how you would describe your relationship with your father. Okay. And look at like how you have gone about choosing the people in whom you want to interact with. The patterns a father sets in his relationships with his children would dictate how his children relate with other people. Okay. All right. So we're going to take a look at just the two dynamics that is most likely seen and presented between the father and their daughter, and then the father and the son. So let's first of all just take a look at the interactions and the dynamics within the relationship between fathers and their daughters. Um, I think of the John Mayer song, gosh, fathers be good to your daughters. I can't, the rest of it is not coming to me right now, but that's just one song that comes to mind when I think of this specific dynamic. um, but young girls depend on their fathers for security and emotional support. So if you think about your very first interaction, is kind of like your how do I want to say your interactions with your parents, it's your training ground for your interactions with other individuals outside of the household and all throughout your life journey. Okay, your interactions with your parents, that was your training ground for all other interactions you have had outside of your household. Okay, so a father shows his daughter what a good relationship with a man is like. Woo! Mm. A father shows his daughter what a good relationship with a man is like. Pause here for a moment and think about how your father did show up or did not show up in that area. If you are looking at this from the perspective of being the daughter, if a father is loving and gentle, his daughter will look for those qualities in men when she's old enough to begin and to start dating. So, what that child is seeing in the home and how that interaction goes down is most likely what they're going to seek outside of that family or environment dynamic. You know, many times I'll get the thing where um, people will tell me they grew up in a household that their parents were abusive towards each other, and then they will end up in a relationship that is that repeating that cycle. If a father is strong and valiant, she will relate closely to men of the same character. So, thinking about the characteristics of your father, are you also seeking out those same kind of characteristics in your pursuit and your present partners? Are those characteristics that you align with or want? Or are you sticking with those specific characteristics because that's familiar, even though it's unhealthy and it's not the best? And this is where therapy comes in and is just amazing to help you go in and decipher out what are the details behind why you do what you do and where you need to make adjustments to make changes. So because you are coming to the realization that something is not right. I do not like this. Why do I keep doing this? Okay, and this is where seeking out the help of a therapist um, is very much so appropriate for you to help you unpack all of those things that you're starting to see and become aware of. All right, so we're gonna be. It's kind of a little short one today, and I know it appeared long because I had some technical issues, but I'm gonna do my best to work on that. So it's not presented here. It's not popping up for me every time when I come at you live. So let's talk a little bit about fathers and their sons. Um, Boys will model themselves after their father's character. Boys will model themselves after their father's character. Boys will seek approval from their fathers from a very young age. And so, okay, so, I'm trying to highlight some positive attributes of fathers. And I want to shine a brighter light on that, but I will bring up, some of the negative attributes, the not so positive things as well, because I know that I feel a majority of people come from woundedness in this area in their relationship with their father. I know it's definitely there with the mothers, but like we have learned and known, there's a lot of woundedness that many people have and have struggled with over their relationships, over the impact or the lack of impact of their father in their life. As human beings, we grow up by imitating the behavior of those around us. That's how we learn to function in the world. This is why, to perhaps bring in the perspectives of how things were for you when you were much younger really helps to open up the dynamic of understanding why you are the way you are today, how you got there. Not saying that every parts of it is bad, but when you're noticing some hiccups here and there, some speed bumps and some hurdles and some things popping up that you're like, ah, I really need to like adjust that or get rid of that, or why do I do that kind of thing? That's causing me more harm than good, or that part of that thing that I do, or how I choose to think about that thing really stresses me out. Um, because uh, uh, again, our childhood was a training ground for us moving into adulthood. Some had good interactions during that time frame, some did not. Um, and then as we move through the childhood, then we get into the adolescent stage, and it's just like, what in the world is going on here? With your bodies are changing, your interactions, social interactions start to change, and it's a lot to deal with. And then you're an adult, and you're like, am I supposed to have things like figured out right now? Like, are you sure? So we imitate the behaviors of those around us, and it helps us to learn how do we function in the world. Some of that stuff we imitated, or we allowed ourselves to adjust to, was not always the healthiest. And so when we find in our adultness, oh, maybe I'm not functioning as well as I should be right now. And so seeking out the help and the guide and support from a therapist, from a counselor, from a coach, uh, can become a wonderful and an amazing step towards growing and being better and learning more about yourself. If a father is caring and treats people with respect, the young boy will grow up much the same. Again, so as you saw things modeled or presented to you, many times that is also the same thing you're modeling, and you're mirroring that to the world. And when a father is absent, young boys look to other male figures to set the rules, so to speak, for how to behave and to survive in the world. And this is an amazing thing where, like, coming out of the rootedness of like boys and girls clubs, of mentors, um, seeking out men's groups in the community, or men's group at your the church, or that you go to, seeking out that structure, that bond that helps you to start to mold and shape your characteristics that you missed out on, that was not presented to you, that was not shown to you, to help solidify and secure you into your manhood. And that's very important. Very, very important. So, with that, I want to say that in the month of June, I know there's a lot going on, and many different parts of the world have different things happening. Give yourself an opportunity and a time to just reflect on your interactions with your father. Perhaps if you are a father yourself, reflect on the information you heard here, um, and how great the opportunity it is that you have, if you are a father, to impact and influence your children's lives. It's an amazing opportunity. It's an amazing, like, responsibility. That does not mean it does not have its challenges. It definitely does. But like I was mentioning in our series about mothers, becoming a parent is a life transforming event. Now, I think you and I both know, we know some people who, when they became parents, they stayed the same. They You would think, did they grow up anymore? Uh no. So we know that there are those individuals like that. But that doesn't mean it takes away the fact that it is still a life transforming event for you to go through. Being a parent is the greatest role you will ever have in your life, and it is also the most difficult. It has amazing rewards. It's a mixed bag because it also has a lot of heartache along with it as well. And that depends on, not only the dynamics you may have between that bond between the child and the parent, but also the um, parents together with the bond with the child, especially if the parents' relationship in and of itself are not on the best path forward, can greatly and wholeheartedly become a huge impact upon the child. So I'm looking forward to the next couple of live streams. If you have, of course, any questions, please, you can email me here, as you see in the corner. You can put something in the chat if you like to. Um, it's exciting. I want to say, many times, sometimes I feel like I'm really an investigator, because I can sit and think about like my interactions and experiences I've had with my father, and then seeing the interaction and experiences of my husband as a father with our child, looking at the dynamics uh, and the differences between the two. And also experiencing that from the outside when I'm working with individuals and coming to understand what the interaction is like between a client and their father. So in therapy, we're always learning about how to become aware of the repetitious behaviors that we have, and how, if those repetitions are healthy or unhealthy. um, I want to say, very rarely do I hear, I want to be like my father one day. But quite often I do hear, I don't want to be like my father. And that's really sad to hear the latter more than the first. Oh, what amazing opportunity to whomever may be watching us to realize that you can turn that around anytime as the father, in that role of the father, and turn towards your children and start to repair some of those areas that where there's a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. um, Better late than never. Has to be a willingness done on the part of both involved. And for those who no longer have their father living, in what ways are you able to honor them? I know when I work with people, it is really hard with the fathers that were abusive, that were hurtful and harmful in more ways than a help. Point blank, there's some people that they don't want to honor, they don't want to acknowledge, they'd rather forget. I think in every interaction we have with every day that we are gifted and given, I think just like when I getting in front of a client, with every client that I meet with, I want to hold space with that person and hope that our interaction is bringing them towards a better good, as opposed to the latter. A not so good interaction, not so great. So we each are empowered to be able to make an impact, whether we're a father or not. But boy, I think of the quote, and I feel like I know it goes perhaps maybe beyond this, because I do love Spider-Man. With great responsibility comes great power, and I feel like that is indeed the case with our fathers. So, with that, I don't want to hold you any longer. Wrapping up that good, warm, beautiful energy for you right here, rolling up my hands together. Okay, so here we go. I am wishing you nothing but good intentions, setting nothing but high vibes, reaching out from my hands to yours. I thank you. I appreciate you so much for your time today. Please connect with me here again next Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. We're going to go into part 2 of the impacts of fathers in our series. I greatly appreciate you. Um, I'm going to continue to keep working on my techie stuff over here. So as I make presentations and have a little video stuff to show you, things are able to be on point and to play. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to meeting with you again as we continue our talk on the impacts of fathers.